crashed into the World Trade Center.
This is probably going to be something where there are going to be fatalities, and certainly.
Definitely something hit the second tower. You got visible fire showing out there. Transmit a fifth alarm for Tower 2.
We got there at 8:54. We really flew.
Tower just came down.
The south tower, though it had been hit second, went down first. I looked up and I see it. I'm not gonna outrun this.
On September 11th, 2001, New York Police Lieutenant Terry Tobin worked for the NYPD press office. Her job, handle the media.
So I get blown out of my shoes, and I feel blood going down the back of my neck. There is this chunk of cement.
She was beneath the Twin Towers when they collapsed.
Bolton and Broadway.
If I didn't have the helmet on, my head would have been decapitated. The glass went through my back but didn't puncture my lung. At that moment, I said, this is it. We're all going to die on the street. All you heard was people screaming. So I grabbed someone's hand and I said, I'm with the NYPD. I'm not going to let go. My name is Teresa Tobin. I am a deputy inspector in the NYPD.
Terry is just one of the extraordinary women who came to the rescue that day. Featured in this 2002 book, Women at Ground Zero.
Little boys and girls should have these women as their role models.
People want to say that we're a part of the brotherhood. We're not. You know, we're sisters, we're women.
It's going to be 1,776 feet high. It'll be taller than the original Twin Towers.
Today, 6 of these women of Ground Zero tell the story of the past decade of rebuilding, recovering, and restoring hope.
It's just something that you'll never forget.
We saw the worst of human beings on this planet. I also think that we saw the best. And I think some remarkable things have occurred as a result of 9/11.
That is, Deputy Inspector Terry Tobin is the commander of the New York Police Department's Office of Personnel.
Do you ever have regrets about being a first responder on 9/11?
I have not one regret.
Never? With the injuries that you suffered?
No, not at all. Not at all. I was doing what I was meant to do, and to this day I am convinced that I'm doing exactly as I'm meant to be doing at this point in my life.
Women have been a part of the New York Police Department for nearly a century. Yet they're just 17% of the force, 15% nationwide.
Well, I came on the police department in 1983, and I think at that point we were only 6% of the department. But I come from a law enforcement family. My dad was a NYPD officer, and I'm one of 5, and 4 out of the 5 of us followed in his footsteps.
Regina Wilson is the only woman in her firehouse, nearly 30 years after women won the right to be New York firefighters.
I came in 99, so it happened in 2001. So I think I got a full understanding of what it means to be the first person on the scene.
Why would you want a job that is so dangerous and so risky?
It's just the nature of serving and the nature of helping people and seeing that people are safe.
I'll just put 15-15.
Terry believes the small numbers are why women don't get more recognition for their roles on September 11th.
There were female firefighters.
Right.
Police officers.
Right.
EMS.
Correct. There were female carpenters. I don't think that there was any task that was performed down there by men that was not performed by women.
Terry believes women can still make their mark. Her role is reviving a department that lost 23 officers on September 11th. Nearly 100 more retired due to post-traumatic stress.
It has a significant impact in the terms of how we respond.
40% of the department is new since 9/11.
There's a whole series of training that didn't exist, say, when I came, on the job. We do counterterrorism training. As an executive, I get briefed on worldwide events. So it is different. It is actually how to respond Our equipment has changed to reflect all of that as well.
In what ways?
Well, we now have a mask that we can put on, an escape hood. We all have counterterrorism bags.
Terry is, as I say, emblematic of that spirit, that can-do spirit.
The police department rebuilt its command center after 9/11 and started a special counter-terrorism team.
So you can control the cameras, meaning you go wider, you can move them.
You can move.
Police Commissioner Ray Kelly.
The world's become a much smaller place. Certainly, it's a dangerous place. We recognize that. But we're communicating now much more effectively. We all realize that we're in this together.
It took a long time for people to come around hopeful, to be hopeful again. So many people that have taken the vulnerability and their feelings from 9/11 and done remarkable acts of heroism in everyday life.
Terry won a Medal of Valor for her work on 9/11, then devoted herself to a decade of restoring hope, like many of the women of Ground Zero. Regina Wilson has devoted her decade to another mission.
My job is different every day. We work 2 days a week, 8 days a month. This is a good job.
She's convincing more women to join New York's bravest, even if it means risking their lives.
This is not an easy job.
Right.
And it's a scary job. And it's a job where you could die on the job.
Right.
Why is this something that you fought to be part of?
All I kept hearing was, we're under attack, everybody run, And then we turned around and it was just like this big black smoke, like with flames in it, just coming towards us, so we ran. And it went completely black. At that point, I was trying to resolve myself and getting content with death.
Regina Wilson's fire company was blown back at the mouth of Ground Zero.
It just felt like a war zone. Fires going everywhere. In one of the buildings, there was a fire on every other floor.
She had traded spots with another firefighter who arrived earlier. His remains were never found.
I knew that our guys were dead. My name is Regina Wilson, and I am a firefighter for the City of New York. Who here knows what a firefighter does?
These Manhattan kindergartners are too young to have witnessed the terror or the heroism of 9/11.
You see boys all the time doing all of the jobs. If you want to do anything at all, you can do it, even though you're girls, because girls rock, right? Do girls rock? Yeah! All right, so you gotta...
Regina's challenge is convincing these girls that the value of serving is greater than the danger.
These are all women. You can't see it too much, but they're holding, see this hose line here?
Brenda Berkman fought for that right in 1979 when she sued the fire department for gender discrimination. 3 years later, she won. And this lawyer-turned-firefighter was among the first 42 women hired.
Over here, you know, we've got the names of all the people who were lost that day.
Brenda retired a captain in 2006. She now gives tours of the 9/11 Tribute Center, hoping to remind people of the women at Ground Zero.
So, at the 10-year mark, what do you personally want for you?
For me, I'd like to feel like that history is going to be remembered accurately, that that women are going to be in the picture as rescue and recovery workers, that we're going to move on, but at the same time, we're going to never forget.
Firefighter Wilson will make the pickup. Take out the slack, tighten it up. Regina, ready to go?
Yep, ready
to go. All right, let's get that over the edge.
12 years ago, Regina joined Engine 219 in Brooklyn, a beneficiary of Brenda's lawsuit.
Down! Sir, can you please put your arms around my neck and I'm gonna grab your waist? Down!
Down!
This is not an easy job.
Right.
And it's a scary job. And it's a job where you could die on the job.
Right.
Why is this something that you fought to be part of?
Because I think it's a cause worthy of that. Everyone needs somebody to look out for them. And I think like the purest part of my job is when I'm in uniform, because you can't tell my race, you can't tell my gender.
She became the first firefighter in her family.
I was raised that way because I was in church and I've learned the basic of loving one another and putting other people before yourself.
Regina hopes more women will follow her into firefighting. Yet 10 years after 9/11, the fire department has fewer female firefighters.
How many female firefighters are there in the city?
29, and there's a little close to 11,000.
29 out of 11,000.
Yeah, so we're not even a percentage.
How much of it is discrimination?
Discrimination is everywhere. I mean, this is a very physical job, but just because it's physical, it just doesn't mean that a man can do it.
More women have joined the other rescue services since 9/11, including the military and the Department of Homeland Security, which was established after the attacks. DHS Secretary Janet Napolitano.
Yeah, we've got 230,000 some odd employees. We're spread all over the United States, and a third of our employees are women, and 25% of our upper management are women. I'm proud of that.
Do you have the prisoner roster?
In New York, 17% of the police department is female. Firefighting remains an exception.
I kind of felt like I had the double whammy. I couldn't, retreat and blend in because I was African American, and I believe it was only 16 in my class, and I was the only woman.
Fewer than 5% of U.S. firefighters are women, and they report high levels of harassment on the job.
You have to kind of pull yourself back from it because they'll let you know sometimes how they feel about women. Hi, I'm Regina. Nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
The fire department recently launched a recruiting drive. Regina is always looking for new female firefighters.
I always feel like I'm doing something for my community. Oh, say, can you see?
Regina says she's felt only support at her firehouse, where 7 firefighters were among the 343 who died. She's remembering all of them in a memorial CD.
Is it painful to look at this?
Yeah, it's sad because they've brought so much to this house, and they've brought so much happiness and joy. Like Henry was the dad of the house, and Frank Palumbo, he was an awesome guy. He had 10 children. Before 9/11, I've gone to fires. I've even gotten burned at fires, but I still didn't grasp the concept of my job, and I think 9/11 really changed what it means to be a firefighter in the city of New York. There's nothing in the world that girls can't do. We could be police officers, we can be construction workers, we can drive trains.
A concept the female firefighters seek to instill in this classroom named in honor of Brenda. But Brenda Berkman's fight over the legacy of Ground Zero is not over.
There are going to be people who are going to be unhappy with it.
This brings back a lot of bad memories.
I might be one of them. Why has it taken 10 years to build on that site?
We led the charge into Manhattan with this whole group of Brooklyn firefighters because we had the lights and sirens.
Firefighter Brenda Berkman was among the army of rescue workers who came to search for survivors.
We were all in a desperation mode. We had to find those people who were trapped.
There were 8 officers from my battalion who responded. 5 of them were killed. I'll be sitting somewhere, and all of a sudden some guy's face or his name will flash into my head, and I'll just be like, you know, the disbelief just sets in all over again. My name is Brenda Berkman, and I am a retired New York City fire officer. For me, that was the question I was constantly asking myself after 9/11. How am I going to react to this terrible, terrible event? I had absolutely no background in art when I started here.
For this Minnesota native, solace came through her art.
It's been a tremendous creative outlet for me, but I never did any prints that directly spoke about 9/11 up until just within the last couple of months. Let's talk about what the Trade Center was like before 9/11.
But her passion is volunteering as a guide at the 9/11 Tribute Center, right next to the construction site that is Ground Zero.
In the center, there's a plaza with a Golden Globe. That plaza, people used it not only as a pedestrian mall, but they had their lunches there. Grief makes a hole in your heart. And you have a choice then of what you want to do with that space. 250 of the 343 firefighter names that are on here were guys that I had worked with. Miss them every day.
Brenda shows visitors artifacts pulled from the rubble, photographs of those who died.
Henry Miller was in Ladder 105 with me when I was a firefighter. I think it's going to stay that way.
Even today, the question lingers. How do you fill this void?
Is it possible to remember everybody in a way that everyone will be happy?
Probably not.
Ground Zero is a graveyard where 2,753 people died. More than 3,000 children lost a parent in the attacks. For 10 years, the drive to rebuild these 16 acres for the future has run head-on into the desire to honor the dead. There were angry words over building offices on the footprints of the towers where people died.
Politics and economic agendas are destroying this sacred site.
The positioning of the names of the dead caused rancor.
People are angry about all kinds of things.
What are you angry about?
What am I angry about? You know, just the fact that it happened.
So this is
Okay.
my happy little tomato plants.
I'm averaging 2 to 6 a week.
Yeah.
Seeing doctors.
There are also survivors, like Bonnie Gibfried, who are afraid to return to Ground Zero. She sustained serious injuries in the attack.
None of us should have walked out of what we walked out of. After being buried alive, not once, but twice. I have my days where I'm very angry.
Frustrated?
I'm very frustrated, yes.
Sad about it?
I'm very sad.
But he wasn't that big when he passed away.
I continue to work on moving forward to not be re-traumatized, re-triggered.
As you'll see, a lot of the site is still under construction. Memorial Plaza starts right here, and you can see these trees and that pool up there.
Architect Michael Arad won the competition to design an outdoor memorial.
It's been so hard to make this both a significant memorial ground, but also a kind of place where the office workers who are here already and who will be in these new towers will be able to come down here and sit on a bench and have lunch.
The footprints of the destroyed towers are now below-ground waterfalls. The families of the dead got to request where their names would be placed.
So what looks like a random array of names is in fact the fruit of this collaboration with family members.
Trees, walkways, and a museum separate places to remember from the office space being built. Brenda's first glimpse of the memorial grounds moved her.
When you look out and see construction this way and a memorial almost done over there, what do you think?
Fantastic. I can hardly wait to be able to walk through those trees and see those fountains and touch them.
Why is that so important?
Because those are my friends there, you know, and and my coworkers. And finally, they're going to have a beautiful remembrance of their sacrifice. And I'll be able to go and pay my respects.
Bonnie Gibfried needs no reminder. She is still living the tragedy of Ground Zero.
I was buried alive down at Ground Zero, and I'm now buried alive by paperwork. Next thing we knew, all the debris, all you heard was, you know, things banging against the building, and everything went dark.
Emergency medical technician Bonnie Gibfried was at the World Trade Center beneath the buildings when they collapsed.
We were buried alive. We were buried, they said, 4 stories under. And breathing was getting worse and worse, and we were suffocating. We were literally starting to die. My name is Bonnie Jean Gibfried. I was an EMT on 9/11. This is my Pro Air.
Bonnie didn't inhale her last breath on September 11th, but she hasn't been able to breathe easy since.
What was your medical diagnosis from 9/11?
I have multiple chemical sensitivity. I have asthma. I have GERD. I have RADS, reactive airway disease. My left side, my thumb, my wrist, and my elbow have been reconstructed. I still need further surgeries.
Have any of those things improved in the last 10 years?
Oh, I still have.
10 years later.
10 years later. 10 years later. It doesn't go away.
She spent hours buried in the toxic dust, just like thousands of other first responders.
Off to the doctors now.
I'm gonna do your weight first.
I knew that was coming.
An estimated 80% of first responders rarely, if ever, wore masks that day.
112.76.
Yesterday I had a really bad bout with the asthma because of the humidity.
Right. Okay, let me just...
Bonnie stopped working, just months short of qualifying for a pension or health care coverage.
It just became a nightmare because my body was breaking down quicker than I could actually physically and mentally recoup.
So I just want to feel your stomach because of the pain.
Today, she struggles to pay bills on Social Security disability and workers' compensation.
My health just increasingly deteriorated, and
sounds good today.
I really thought that
we just eliminated beef, dairy.
Not only my job, but the fire department in New York was going to back us, that the government was going to back us, that my union was going to back us, and to this day, that's not a reality.
53,000 people across the country have been screened for 9/11-related health problems. Last year, 15,000 responders received treatment through the World Trade Center Medical Monitoring and Treatment Program, co-founded by Dr. Benjamin Luft. How do you treat someone like Bonnie?
There's a lot of physical problems that Bonnie has, and those need to be attended to. But at the same time, there's a tremendous amount of attention that has to be made to her psychological and social issues.
People say, oh, you're mental, you know, you're losing your mind. I really thought I was losing my mind until I really learned the dynamics of what happens with post-traumatic stress.
Good girl. There are also people like retired police sergeant Carrie Policastro, whose health remains uncertain. She was among the 40,000 people who worked on the site in the weeks after the attacks.
You have a lot of people who are terminally ill. I have a couple of nodules in my lungs so far. Everything is fine, but I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. Take squads 1 and 2 doing supplement.
Who are these guys in the front? They're the squad leaders?
The squad leaders are in the front. The wind changed direction. We were trying to smoke the cops.
She now trains today's first responders.
What I saw is I saw you bring your squad leaders out, you brief them.
Even as she worries about her own future. Where do you think we are 10 years later? What have been the ramifications of that day?
There's a lot of health issues that aren't being addressed. There's a lot of people getting sick that aren't receiving the treatment and the care that they deserve and need.
As of June 2010, 345 responders have died of cancer.
We haven't been able to say with certainty whether cancers have occurred as a result of 9/11.
There were cancer-causing compounds, benzene, dioxin, and asbestos, found in the debris. In 2001, then EPA Administrator Christine Todd Whitman said the air was safe.
Everything we've tested for, which includes asbestos, lead, and VOCs, have been below any level of concern for the general public health.
But the public wasn't completely convinced. After a decade of fighting, some relief. This year, Congress allocated $4.3 billion for treatment and services for the survivors of 9/11, but not covering cancer. New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg fought for the law.
Addressing the 9/11 healthcare effects is a national duty, and we're grateful that Congress has finally recognized this fact and is fulfilling its obligation to the thousands of first responders, office workers, and residents who continue to suffer.
I was buried alive down at Ground Zero, and I'm now buried alive by paperwork.
Bonnie says her illnesses consume her life.
So it's harder to get better if you're still grappling with the psychological trauma of 9/11?
That's right. It works almost like a cycle. And if you can't work on both of those issues simultaneously, you can't break that cycle.
When does it end for you? I mean, if we're having this conversation in 10 years, are you better? Or is it 15 years? Or is it the 25th anniversary? When are you better?
I can't think about it. I have to deal with right here, right now, one day at a time, one thing at a time, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Come left! Move!
Carrie Policastro worries what tomorrow will bring. She is training for the next attack.
They're going to try and hit us again. I think it's just a matter of when. I was flying home on an airplane, and they grounded all the airplanes, so I wasn't able to come home. And I was completely devastated that I couldn't be at home helping the people that I swore to serve.
Police Sergeant Carrie Policastro finally got on a plane to New York 3 days later.
And I went from Kennedy Airport right down to Ground Zero. I was overwhelmed, totally devastated to actually see it and smell it and taste it and be down there and realize how large it was. My name's Carrie Policastro. I'm a retired sergeant from the New York City Police Department. Platoon!
A decade later,
Yellow squad, post your squad. Guys, tighten it up.
She's preparing for the next attack.
Move! We can't sit down and let them walk all over us. We have to stand up for our rights. This is what made America great. Forward at half step!
About once a month,
Move!
she travels to Anniston, Alabama, to train police officers from around the world at the Center for Domestic Preparedness.
I don't think another attack on the U.S. is if. I think it's just a matter of when.
Carrie teaches riot and crowd control, bringing 20 years of policing experience to her students.
This is the world that we live in. Right, wrong, indifferent, good and bad. We still have to be secure. We have to be safe. As a police officer, as a public safety officer, that's my responsibility.
The number of women training here has risen from just 7% in 2000 to 22% today. Carrie says the lessons of Ground Zero are always in her head.
Certain things are just as raw as they were on that particular day. When you go down there and you're physically there, it shakes you to your core. You're right, you're reliving the moment.
The first responders back on September 11th were acting on instincts and basic training, like the woman who saved Marty Glynn.
Where were you?
I was in the South Tower. We were on 84.
Then he saw police officer Moira Smith.
So we exited the stairwell. There was a ramp leading to the escalator down where they were evacuating. And so at the end of the ramp, Moira was standing there with her flashlight. She was pointing down the escalator stairs and saying, "Keep moving, don't look, keep moving."
Moira saved dozens of lives by refusing to panic when faced with the unexpected.
We all of a sudden, we felt calm. We felt like she had it under control. It almost seemed like a fire drill.
Teaching new skills is critical for today's first responders.
You know your name.
Before 9/11, the Center for Domestic Preparedness trained 2,500 students a year. Now they train 100,000.
Well, there's 3 sets of gloves that they have on there.
Rick Dixon is the Assistant Director for Training Delivery. He's been here since the center opened in 1998.
They're learning how to respond to terrorist attacks or attacks that involve chemical agents or biological agents, radiological threats, improvised explosives devices. They're learning how to protect the community, so there's some prevention element.
And the students who are here, what do they do in their real jobs when they're not students here?
In their daily lives are riding in police cars or riding in ambulances, working in hospitals, emergency managers, preparing for what could be a very bad scenario.
That prevention starts here at the Department of Homeland Security's National Operations Center, where threats, conditions, and activities across the United States are monitored 24/7.
If you look at what happened on 9/11 and you look at what we do now, that kind of conspiracy would be very difficult, if not totally impossible, to successfully accomplish now. There are no guarantees, but are we maximizing our ability to prevent a large-scale plot from ever occurring again on American soil? We're doing everything we can to do that.
The Center for Domestic Preparedness is part of that mission. This is the only facility where civilians train with live toxic agents. Instructors need to prepare students for every possible scenario.
It's about awareness. We all need to work together. I've met hundreds, thousands of police officers, and they know they can call me and I can call them.
These patients, played by actors, are walking into the emergency room after an explosion.
So when this hits them in their own hometowns, whatever it may be, they're not thinking about what they do. They're reacting based on training.
Things are fluid, things keep changing.
That training and the threat of another attack are why Carrie Policastro is here.
This isn't our backyard right now. This is not something that's happened in another country. We've never seen an attack like this on the U.S. before. Prior to 9/11, we had the 1993 bombing of the Trade Center, which a lot of people forgot about. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people are forgetting about 9/11, too.
You think so? Really?
Absolutely. I think it was 10 years ago. So, yeah, I do. I think people are forgetting about it.
And I'm very thankful for all of the...
Marty Glynn is certain he will never forget the woman who saved his life.
There was a phone call, and it was from my sister. She told me that Moira was at the World Trade Center.
I was on the street. I don't have much hair. Please help me.
Officer Moira Smith was evacuating people from the burning buildings.
As I was driving in, approaching the Midtown Tunnel, and I saw the building collapse. And that's the first time I got scared. My name's Jim Smith. I'm a retired New York City police officer and the husband of police officer Moira Smith, who was killed on 9/11. Today we're in the first game of the championship for the Little League.
Number 6, Patricia Smith.
Jim and Moira's daughter, Patricia, is now 12 years old.
Go two.
She's a captain of her softball team and a straight-A student.
Moira loved playing softball, but we used to say she had 2 speeds, slow and stop. Patricia's, fast, and she's, a lot more athletic. But her other aspects that she takes after her mom, they're always smiling, they're cheering everybody on, they're not giving up. Patricia's a fighter, so she got her mom's spirit there. Obviously, as a little girl, we just, we kept it simple. It wasn't like we told her that, Moira died, but we did explain to her that she wouldn't be coming back anymore and that she was helping people in heaven.
After saving the man in this picture, Moira Smith ran back inside to rejoin the rescue. She was killed in the collapse of the South Tower. For her bravery, New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani posthumously presented Moira the New York Police Department Medal of Honor.
I remember getting Patricia dressed that morning in her red dress and putting the bow in her hair and black patent leather shoes. She was brave. She walked right up on the stage, got the medal from the mayor.
For months, people searched the rubble for the missing. Then, on the first day of spring in 2002, Moira's body was found.
Moira, may the angels lead you into paradise. May the martyrs come to welcome you and take you to the holy city.
She was laid to rest, but her bravery became immortal.
Jim, Patricia, please join us at the podium.
Every year, Jim and the New York Police Reserve Association
Veterans grant is for $3,750.
give scholarships to young women in Moira's name.
It's a way for Moira to still make a difference in people's lives.
Jim brings Patricia to almost every event.
The picture there, is that the same one?
It's the same one that I have in home. Patricia wants, to have something from her mother that she can hold on to. And I think that's a huge thing, her heroism as a woman and as a police officer. His mom, she's always giving you a big kiss when she sees you.
At first, I was actually kind of sad because her being a hero is a great thing, but the reason she became a hero is that she had to die to become a hero. But then as I just kept getting older, I kind of realized that it happened for a reason.
It was just terrible.
One of the people Moira saved was Marty Glynn.
I was sitting there when the second plane hit.
Marty was evacuating from the 84th floor of the South Tower on 9/11.
When I got to the end of the ramp, when I was standing directly in front of Moira, all of a sudden her voice turned very intense. It was, "Don't look, don't look." And that moment we had this intense eye contact, I knew she knew what the danger we were in. We were all aware of what was going on, and her demeanor and her calm disposition in the face of this danger was what gave everybody the confidence to evacuate the building.
When you look back on that day, how do you see it?
I'm very thankful for all of the things I've been able to enjoy. I've had a very, very good life in the meantime. My sons got married. I have one grandson. I've got another one due in the next day or two.
I choose to remember Moira by looking at Patricia. I love the boats and I love the parks and the streets named after her, and I think that's a great honor. But there'd be no bigger reward than to raise Patricia to be a good person.
People have turned such an awful event into something where they make a difference in today's world.
What I've learned, I pass on and make sure that no man or woman is left behind.
I want to be the person that people remember as, hey, you know, she did the right thing.
It could have been me. And if I'm still here, I need to serve a purpose.
I'm hopeful that what I can do with the rest of my life is spend it in a way that creates peace, that I can continue to try and make the world a better place.